This is your test review for Unit 1. Please make sure you also go check the Canvas module for a Kahoot that is also going to be counted as a digital grade. It is just a quick review of some multiple choice problems for you to work out, kind of thinking about timing and such. That is available, and that is something you definitely need to do for a grade as well today. It is a completion grade. Don't worry about how you do on it with that aspect, but please make sure you go actually do the Kahoot so you can get that completion grade for the day as well as watching this video. Hopefully you already worked these out and you're just kind of checking your answers to see how you do on these. The very first thing tells us to translate a triangle 6 units to the right and 4 units up. So you want to count each individual dot. I'm going to do them in different colors. So J, I'm going to go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that is going to be J prime. Now we're going to do Y. I'm going to do that in purple. Up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 6 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's going to be Y prime. Then we'll do W last in pink. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it does ask you to give those coordinates. And the reason you are being asked that is because you will have to do that on the test. So Y prime is at 1, 3. J prime is at 3, 4. And W prime is at 4, 0. Please make sure you're always putting your coordinates in parentheses. If they do not have those parentheses, they're not a point. The next one tells us to reflect the triangle over the x-axis. The key thing here is going to be actually identifying the x-axis. It is the line I just drew in on green. Then you want to make sure you're keeping your distance consistent from the bottom to the top. So Z, if you notice, is 1 below the line. So we're going to go 1 above the line, and that's going to be Z prime. D is 1, 2, 3, 4 below the line. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 above the line to draw D prime. Then we're going to look at P. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 below. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 above. And here's our new triangle. I'm going to outline it, and then we will write our coordinates. Z prime is going to be 2, 1. D prime is going to be 2, 4. And P prime is going to be 4, 4. Hopefully you did pretty well on those. All right, number 3 says rotate 270 clockwise, which is the same thing as 90 counterclockwise. So our rule is going to be negative yx. So if you write out your points, V is at 0, negative 4. F is at 2, 0. And actually, I'm going to write those long ways. F is at 2, 0. And K is at 4, negative 2. So with each of them, I want to swap where they are, and then the one that was the Y changes signs. So that's going to be V prime. Swap spots. The one that was the Y changes signs, but remember we talked about in class, 0 can't really change signs. It's just 0. And then last, they swap spots, and the one that was the Y changes signs. So it's 2, 4. And now we're going to graph that. So I'm going to go to 4 for K prime. I'm going to go to 4, 0 for V prime. And I'm going to go to 0, 2 for F prime. And connect them, and there's my triangle. And you can see it moved 90 degrees, opposite of the way a clock would move. This next one says rotate 180. And as you know, rotate 180 does not come with an actual direction because it doesn't matter. Half a circle is half a circle. The rule is negative x, negative y. So that means all you do is take and change the signs. So H is at 3, negative 1. Z, and these are the original points, are at 1, negative 3. And Y is at 3, negative 4. So now everything changes signs. H prime is going to be negative 3, positive 1. Z prime is going to be negative 1, positive 3. and y prime is going to be -3, +4. And now we're going to graph those. And here we are with our new triangle, and it went exactly halfway around the graph. Hopefully you did well on these. Make sure with those points you write parentheses around them every time. Looking at number 5, it says reflective of the line y equals -1. So remember, we want to go ahead and draw in our line there. I'm going to draw it in green. So we need to cross the y-axis at -1. Then we need to count the distance to the triangle. So t is 2 above the line. So we're going to go 2 below the line for t prime. A is 1, 2, 3, 4 above the line. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 below the line at A prime. And the same thing for N is 4 above. So we're going to go 4 below for N prime. And then we are going to connect them. Ooh, that's pretty bad. And get our points for ant. A is -5, -5. N is -3, -5. T is -5, -3. Number 6 says rotate 270. And remember, if it does not tell you a direction, then you assume counterclockwise. So that's 270 counterclockwise, which is going to be y -x. So I'm going to write out all of my points. So I have u at -4, 0. I have m at -5, -5. And I at -2, -5. So now remember with the rule, they swap spots. And the one that was the x changes signs. So that's going to be u prime. So m, they swap spots. The one that was the x changes signs. So that is now m prime, -5, 5. And for I, they swap spots. The one that was the x changes signs. So -5, +2. Now we just need to graph them. All right, -5, +2 is here. That's I prime. -5, +5, M prime. And 0, 4, U prime. Here is my triangle. And looking at it, it looks like it went 90 degrees clockwise. It moved a quarter of a turn the way a clock would move, so we know we did it right. As you can see on this slide, it does tell you to make sure you know some vocabulary words. I have pasted all the definitions right here for you. A regular polygon just means all the sides are the same length. Algebraic rules for rotations and reflections, I have put all of those on here as well. This is just a copy paste from a slide that we wrote them on earlier in the unit. And then it says, find the line of reflection given a pre-image and an image. So to look at your homework for practice, anytime you want to find that line of reflection, you're going to look for what is the middle between the two shapes. So if I had something like this and I had a triangle here and a triangle here, I would look for exactly the middle between the two shapes, and that would be my line of reflection. Hopefully that makes sense. You look for the middle between like this point and this point, find the middle, this point and this point, find the middle, and then connect them. Here we are being asked to find the slope of a line that is parallel to y equals 3x minus 1. Remember, if it's parallel, it has the same slope. So for parallel, it's going to have a slope of m equals 3. So that's going to be parallel. And then it says, what about perpendicular? So for perpendicular, remember you have to take it, make it a fraction, flip it over, and then change the sign. So it's -1/3 would be the m, or the slope, for a perpendicular line. If you had some trouble with this one, pause the video and try the next one. Make sure you solve for y first. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to minus the 4x on both sides. And divide by -2 on all parts. So y is going to equal 2x minus 4. So now if I want to parallel, it's going to be m equals 2, because remember the slope is always the number in front of the x. If we want perpendicular, we're going to take that 2, make it a fraction, flip it over, change the sign. So then that means our m would be -1/2. Here, these are multiple choice, so it should be a little bit easier. It says which equation is parallel to y equals -8x minus 3. So your m is going to be -8. So you want to look for the ones that are solved for y first, because that'll be the easiest to see. That one's 1/8. This one is -8, and that's exactly what we want. So we pick letter D. Then it asks perpendicular. So first we got to find that. So remember, we want to flip our fraction over. Then we want to change the sign. 6 divided by 1 is +6. So that's the m we're looking for. +6 here. This one doesn't have y by itself. This one doesn't have y by itself. And this is -6. So our answer is going to be A. Then the next piece asks you what's the difference between the pre-image and the image. So the pre-image is at the start. So it's your first picture or your starting point. And your image is the answer or your picture at the end. The next one we are going to use this pentagon for. How many rotational symmetries does a pentagon have? So it's going to have 5, because you would divide 360 by 5, and that's why we get the next one. So the rotational symmetries happen every blank degrees. So we're going to do 360 divided by 5, which is 72 degrees. Put that in here. Oh, I don't know why I wrote 70. 72 degrees. List all the rotation up to 360 that will carry it onto itself. So 72, 144, 216, 288, and then that gives you 360, which is why we have 5 of them. On the pentagon, draw the lines of symmetry. So the lines of symmetry, remember, are going to be through each point and then the opposite side. And then how many lines of symmetry are there? Remember, it's always the same as the number of sides. The last thing on here is Pythagorean theorem. So you are going to want to make sure you have a calculator. You are going to round these to 2 decimal places. Where a lot of people made mistakes on their quizzes, they did put their sides in the wrong spot. So remember, it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. C is always going to be the side across in the right angle. So in number 17, it's 10, but 9 will be a. So I'm going to say 9 squared. My 9 looks like an A, plus b squared equals 10 squared. 81 plus b squared equals 100. So b squared equals 19. And then we're going to square root that and round to 2 decimals. So b equals 4.36. Make sure you're rounding that correctly. I got in my calculator 4.358. The 8 makes the 5 go up to a 6. Looking at number 18, I do not have C this time. It's what I'm looking for. So I have 3 squared plus 2 squared equals C squared. So 9 plus 4 equals C squared. 13 equals C squared. And in order to solve, square root both sides. So the square root of 13 is 3.61, because the 5 makes the 0 go up. I forgot to draw the square roots here. I said it and then I didn't write it. All right, looking at 19 and 20. And 19, we are also looking for C. Remember, C is always the side across from the right angle. 2 squared plus 5 squared equals C squared. So 4 plus 25 equals C squared. 29 equals C squared. Square root on both sides. The square root of 29 is 5.39. That's going to be your C. And then looking at number 20, I have C and A, and I'm missing B. So 5 squared plus B squared equals 9 squared. 25 plus B squared equals 81. Minus the 25 on both sides. B squared equals 56. And then square root both sides. B equals 7.48. All right, hopefully this is relatively easy for you and you are kind of remembering this, but make sure you do set it up correctly for your test and round to the correct number of decimal places. And the last thing I do want to remind you is that your Delta Math is due Wednesday, which would be tonight. Hopefully you're watching this on Wednesday at 11 p.m. because your test is on Thursday and you do need to get that practice in before then. The nonagon information from the notes yesterday that some of you I didn't quite get finished with, it has 9 lines of symmetry because it has 9 sides, has 27 diagonals, and the rotational symmetry happens every 40 degrees. So I did list all of that out for you. Go ahead and pause the video and make sure that is on your notes, or it might still be on the screen after you finish it. I don't know. But please make sure you finish these videos all the way through. Have a good night, guys.